This Old House series is sponsored by the Whatcom County Library, the Point Roberts branch, and the Point Roberts Historical Society. And Bennett here has videotaped them all. They're all available on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
So you can, anybody who misses today, you can, I've told all my relatives. So today we are going to feature the Old Waters home, and the people that know most about that are Barb Waters Schill, Judy Butts, and Kathy Farlow. And Barb and I and her sisters all went to school here together, so that sort of is your setting. And I'll let you ladies take it over from here.
Okay. Well, we brought some pictures, and Kathy had some stuff, and I had some stuff, and we just put our stuff together, and we hope we've gathered enough people here and enough generations that you can ask questions and maybe get some answers. What we found out first and foremost was the grandma owned the property from the stop sign on South Beach Road in APA on the east side to the beach. She owned the whole road. And Crystal Water Beach was the east boundary. Okay. Grandpa George did not buy the property. The property was given to him to settle a debt. Somebody owed him money at the Waters store, and so to settle that debt, this man owned this property, and we don't have any idea how much money that was. Maybe it was $10. Who knows? But they were married, George and Jean were married September 19th, 1919, so this kind of happened in that time frame.
Excuse me, not knowing more of the background, could you tell us a little bit more about where the Waters family came from and stuff like that, and your background? Oh, that comes later.
That's Kathy.
That's a nice background too for me.
Yeah.
I know more about, I've been doing ancestry, and so I followed from, there was George Howard Waters was Mom's dad, and there was a George Howard, he was the second, there was George Howard Waters the first, and then there was a George Waters. And the George Waters came from Ireland, and whenever I've done ancestry, I get stopped when I get to Ireland or Scotland or Norway. I don't know whether their records just aren't on Ancestry yet or what. But through our great-great grandmother, I followed the line all the way back to the Viking days. So, but anyway, George Waters came from Ireland. They were in New Brunswick. I think maybe some of the family early on must have, after the Revolutionary War, must have been patriot or loyalists, and so went into Canada after the war was over, and I think that's why they ended up in New Brunswick. It's just a guess. I don't have any papers to prove that. And then George Howard Waters the first is the one that moved to Point Roberts, and I can't remember the date at present, but they came. He came here, and when George Howard Waters II was already born, because he was not born here, I don't believe, and they lived in different areas around the area. And my grandmother, Jean Waters, or Jean Muir, came from Vancouver. And you have more information on
That's the
Mama.
father's picture.
There's-
Oh, yeah.
I never knew my grandfathers. They were both gone by the time I was born.
Yeah. Now that's your grandfather. That was George Howard the first.
Yeah.
He died there. And Annie Kilgallen. Again, we haven't traced her. She came from Ireland also. And basically. There were too many Annie Kilgallons, it said. So, unless I get to go over there and check it out, that's what, yeah. And Grandma and Grandpa Matt, Grandma was starting as a teacher in Vancouver or in New
She is out in
Westminster.
Tulowitzki someplace.
And of course, back then, you got married and you could no longer teach. It was no for teachers. And so they lived, and then you can start with the little house and the big house.
So the house that's on the property now was not the original house. The original house was a small 2-bedroom house, and it's in this picture here. It was moved to this part of the property so that the big house, what we all called growing up, the big house could be built. Tootie remembers living in this house, and so I'm gonna tell him that you were born in 24. Sorry. I think I was disinherited. So she remembers living in this house, and they were married in 1919. My dad was born in 21 and she was born in 24. So they probably lived in this house. And then when they decided to build the big house, which is the house you can all see on the property here, they had to move that little house up farther, which they did. We have a postcard that was sent to my dad from his parents, Jean and George, that says, how is the house coming? And we have the postmark as 1928. So the house must have been being built in 28, 29, and must have moved in about that time. But we really don't know the finished date on this house. Tootie does remember moving into the house and not having it quite done. The area off the kitchen was not done. Oh, this is new owners, welcome. These are the latest owners.
Yeah. Oh, neat.
Yeah. Then let's go to the...
Excuse me, so which house is it?
It is that house. It's hard to tell. It's this house. It's, if you go down South Beach Road, you know where Waters Street is?
This person to the left?
Yes.
Okay, so
So you
yeah.
go into Waters Street and that great big gray house.
Oh, yeah, okay, where Fred has his garage.
Oh, that.
Okay, yes, yes, okay, that house, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now I know where I am.
All right, okay. That house, all right. The chicken ranch, there was many chicken ranches and it grew, and it started as a hobby for Grandpa George. And so he just kind of got interested, but it did grow to probably at least 12 outbuildings, and that's what you see in these pictures when you come up and see these long buildings. So
It was like going north.
going north. So the house would be here, and there's still the little lane that's not a blacktop road, it's kind of a gravel and mode, and there was literally, you walked up and there was chicken houses all the way up. Okay? And she remembers that there was like the brooder house, and
They get 10,000 chickens, baby chicks every spring. Wow.
yeah.
And what did she do with the,
Well, they let them grow up, and then they moved out. They were pullets, and that's the next stage. And they moved out to the little houses up in the forest behind. They built a bunch of little houses up there. They were long gone, though. They think they did that, and they had the chickens for their eggs, and she sold the eggs. I just found out, you told me, Barbara, that those eggs were sent to China.
Yeah, somehow, I
during
don't-
the war?
During the war, they were sent
To
somehow
feed the
through the
troops.
Bellingham cold storage. And I gotta find out, I can't remember where I read that, but, yeah. And, so,
But Grandma ran the chicken ranch pretty much other than the first 3 years because Grandma and Grandpa were divorced. They separated in 32, and then there's a paper, let's see, that we have where he willed over all the property to Grandma.
here, one of these.
No, I think it's this one. It just says George H. Waters released this mortgage on the 10th day of November. Well, this says 47, so this, anyway. About 32, Grandpa wasn't around. He moved to Bellingham and then eventually to Portland. And so Grandma ran the chicken ranch pretty much by herself and hired
She always had a hard man that lived in
Mr.
the little
Heritage.
house.
Yeah, the little house then became the place.
Mr. Heritage was his name at one time, and then the second, was there a second one?
Marsh, Thelma Marsh.
Marsh, yeah.
They didn't ever live in the house, they had their own house, but they managed the chickens.
They lived down where,
North of the creek.
they lived in, next to Jeff's,
Martin, the sheriff,
they lived there.
which would be Brewster's.
Oh,
okay.
And, let's see, then,
So when that happened, Tootie from 5th grade on went to Vancouver, 2 schools, and my dad in high school went to Bellingham, and would be home in the summers. Tootie went up with her aunt and uncle, my grandmother's sister. There was 2 girls in the family, and so the 3 girls kind of grew up together and went to school together.
Mary
And
Lou
then-
Wilson that lives in South Beach.
Did you have dual
Cousins.
citizenship then? Because,
Did you have to, I don't think you had dual citizenship, did you?
Did you have to?
No, I guess I could have applied for it, but I wasn't interested.
right, oh,
So-
but there were no borders to going to school
Oh, no,
or it was
well.
all open?
No, the first Canadian border, there was an American border for a long time. First Canadian border was down on 12th Avenue, a little brown house.
Oh, yeah.
It's the electric company today.
That's
You'll see the electric something games or something.
My grandma subdivided.
Well, she decided that she's getting out of the chicken business, and so she offered Jim and Thelma Marsh, the people who had been caring for the chickens, if they wanted to buy the business. And so she cut the property literally in half from the stop sign at APA to the beach. And the halfway point is basically Waters Road in from South Beach. And she sold that top half to him for $5,000. I heard as a child growing up $1,500 and $205,000, so that's in the neighborhood.
Just family rumor.
And Grandma thought that Jim and Thelma would continue to do the chickens. But in fact, Jim was an entrepreneur and he went, "You gotta be kidding me, I'm subdividing and selling," which just about did my dad in. I can remember my dad, I was in elementary school, I remember how he had, and he wasn't very much for selling the property. But, you know, life happens. Then when Jim did that, Grandma thought, aha, I can do the same thing. And so she did it on the south. Now, as a child growing up, she came to Point Roberts from Vancouver with her family to Boundary Bay and had lots of great memories. So when she subdivided, it was her desire to sell her lots to families with children that could enjoy the beach like she did as a child. So she set up these properties to be very inexpensive monthly payments for years so that they could afford to come down and buy a lot and build a little something on it. There was 2 things that Grandma hated about Point Roberts and which we called in our day the campers. Number 1 was outhouses. Most of the camps in those days had outhouses. She hated that. So she put in her plan that you were not allowed to have an outhouse. You had to build it. And then a trailer was the second thing. You were not allowed to bring a trailer down and let it just rust, which is what was happening to trailers in different places on Point Roberts. So those are the 2 things that she was pretty adamant about when she subdivided. So even today, you'll see that it's all houses, no prefabs, no trailers, no, whatever. And so she subdivided, she dug that cut into the beach that's in Waters Plat and the stairs down and subdivided and lived off that income for the remainder of her years. She died at 81 We have an article here of an 80th birthday that she had, and with the house, and it's kind of a little bit about her and the various things she did. When she gave, my dad was in the grocery store business. He kind of took over the Waters store. The family asked him to come down, it had been closed, and to refurbish it and get it back going again, which he did.
That was in Point Roberts?
That was in Point Roberts on the west side, down across from the reef. That's not there now. And see, Grandma and Grandpa lived upstairs, and then downstairs was the store, and there was a stairwell from their house into the store. They didn't have to go outside.
And was
so-
the post office there?
And the post office was there at that time too. Our first grandfather was the postmaster, and his brother ran a boat called the Tulip, which was the mail boat back and forth to Bellingham from Roberts. Okay.
Tulip connection, I've never.
Oh, the Tulip was the mail boat. Not the first one, I don't believe. I think it was second
Yeah, Kitty did a picture of, Kitty Doyle did a picture of
of the Tulip, yeah.
Don't see it here, we have it.
Yeah. Anyway, my dad went out, down and opened that store, and Grandma then went to work with him every day, which we all felt was a lifesaver for her living alone in that house. She was then back into the community and, seeing people on a regular basis and whatever. Then the Waters family decided they didn't want my dad in the store anymore, and his uncle, Uncle Walt Waters, who lived on Freeman Beach. There's a road over there called Walters Lane, that's Walt Waters. He owned across the street what was called the Reef. It was just a cement block building, and it was a tavern. Remember, the dock was still there, the fishing boats still came in, and that's where they would have the beer at night, the fishing run, whatever. So he owned that, so he invited my dad to come across the street and join him, and my dad doubled the size of the building for the grocery store on one side, and they also brought the post office over. We rented to the U.S. government, space for the post office to be, and then the Reef, the tavern. My mom at that time, then they opened a little restaurant in the Reef, and they put a little window in so people would come up and get a couple hamburgers or whatever, and they go and eat them on the beach during the day.
And she made wonderful milkshakes
And
too. We kids would deliver the flyers for Ken's Shopping Center, and we got paid with a hamburger and a milkshake and any Irene
I
stand.
wish you had carried on that. We still had a place.
Now, also, Grandma went and another time and bought the beach rights. When the property was left to her, the Tidelands. The property was left to her, didn't have beach rights, and we have a paper that shows that she paid we think it's $600 for the beach rights in front of Waters Platte. So, and when you buy a piece of property at Waters Platte, you get 1/55 of the beach rights, because there's 55 lots there, so. And I think that was short before she actually finished the subdivision.
Yeah, it was like in 1954
Yeah.
or 5 or something like that, so.
I used to, Mom and Dad got married and we lived in Portland. I've lived in Portland, Oregon all my life. But my dad was a teacher, so he got summers off, so we got to come up every summer and play with our cousins, and most of the time we were in the big house, because Grandma didn't sell that the first time and build one on the beach till, what was that,
56 was,
No, 66.
66,
That was
yeah.
college. 66
oh,
and
you mean her
67.
own house?
Her that little house on the
Oh, I
beach. She
think I
could
was-
no longer handle stairs. She broke her hip and the
Yeah.
stairs were too much. And so she had the sister the Grandma's sister that she lived with and went to school with, bought a lot in South Beach on the beach. And Grandma had saved a lot next to them when she was subdividing. And so she ended up building her small house down there. That house about, 5 years ago or something, was moved off of that property. It's up kind of across the street from the cemetery now.
Yeah.
Because somebody else bought and built another 2-story house. But she had a small 1-story, so she could manage it with her walking.
I've got a question.
Sure.
How is Annie Walters and Jean Waters related?
Annie here?
Yeah.
Annie was my mother's mother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
That was Jean's mother-in-law
Okay.
and father-in-law.
Okay. And, okay.
Because Jean is married into the Waters family.
Okay.
It's her husband that was the Waters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so you've got some pictures for people to look at?
Yeah, you're welcome to come up
Have
and
you
look
got
at pictures
any
and ask questions and.
How about a peep from the people who live there now?
Well, we should tell you that we are really excited to have these people live here now. I just met her a month ago. They've only been there about a month or something, but they have a very, you have a very interesting story about how you got to Point Roberts.
Well, I rented a cottage in Crystal Beach about 25 years ago, I guess, and my daughter met her husband, future husband there, because his family has been coming down for about 70 years to Crystal Beach. And it is funny how the Crystal Beach people don't know, as you know, the Waters family. This is my son-in-law's aunt right here, Barb. Barb's brother and Barb both have a cottage down in Crystal Beach. So anyways, we have always liked coming down here, and Julie and Tyler, my daughter and son-in-law, love it down here. So when I was thinking about getting a cottage with my mom, we were looking at Sunshine Coast, we were looking at the Gulf Islands, and we thought, if we don't go to Point Roberts, we'll never see our children, our grandchildren. And so originally we thought we would go to Seabright Farm, and we were hoping to get something there, but it has taken a long time, as everybody here probably knows, to get permits and whatnot. And all of a sudden, this house came on the market, and it had actually been on the market for a couple of months, but somehow we had never seen it, because we'd been constantly looking. And then Julie phoned me up one evening, like literally about 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night, and she said, this house is for sale. And she had looked at, she'd actually tried to rent it a couple of summers, but it was always fully rented. So I emailed the realtor and said, could we see it maybe tomorrow? And she wrote back, sure. So we all went down the next day and immediately thought, this is what we need, because this is my mom, Ruth. And my mom always wanted a cottage, but she married a man who wanted a boat. And unfortunately, my dad died a couple of years ago, and so mom was ready to get a cottage. And so we decided that we found thing to do. My husband died also a few years ago, so it was perfect for both of us to get a cottage that we could all use. And I have a brother in Ireland, or England, a sister in Ireland, and a brother in California, all of them with children, grandchildren, and they like to come home every summer, so we needed a big house. So last night we were 12 people, I think, staying the night there, and it's been like that it'll be like that for most of the summer, though. It will be using all of it. It's perfect. It's a beautiful house. Honestly, the bones of it are so gorgeous. So I have to come over and have a look. It's been completely redone, which is a real bonus for us. The people we bought it from had purchased it thinking they would live there forever. And they've made it like a real city house. And then he got a job in Seattle, and then they thought, well, we'll keep it as our vacation house, but it was too far to come all the time on weekends or anything else. So we were very lucky. We got to buy it from them after they had it all redone. It was lovely. Really nice.
How many owners has that house?
Well, I was trying to think about that. So Grandma would be first, and Max and Ruby White bought from Grandma. Then who bought from Max and Ruby? There was,
I think it was a John something or other, and Pam.
yeah, you know Annie Pam's?
Yeah.
It was her, and I don't know if it's spouse or special friend, but they were in it for a while. And then the couple that she's talking about from Kirkland were in it, and now she's.
No, that many then.
There's really only been five owners.
Was there an Aga stove in there? Do you remember? Somebody
A what?
told me there had been an Aga. Big
What's
Aga.
Aga?
You know, there's got
British,
Yeah.
British kitchen stove, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandma cooked with wood in the, they made the
Somebody
oven.
told us we met last weekend. She said that it had been a B&B.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and she'd gone and stayed there when it was a B&B, and they had this wonderful big Aga
In the kitchen?
In the kitchen, yes, there are these fabulous big stoves that last forever, and I can't imagine
Somebody
pulling it out, but it's not there now. It's too bad, because they're beautiful stoves.
Mother also had beside the stove, a thing that she could roll down into the basement, and they could load it with wood and then.
Yeah, the basement was filled with sawdust. I loved walking down to the basement, because that's what she cooked with.
Really?
No, she didn't cook with that.
Oh, that was that, heated the sawdust. But the whole basement downstairs, it was just the big pile of sawdust. Yeah.
We used to play
No, I
as
was
kids.
only in the one corner.
Yeah.
Well, I remember it as with the child's eyes.
Yeah.
There's another room down there, and the whole left side of where the stairs came was all the laundry and all that stuff was back there.
Okay, and that's what it is. That's what it is still the laundry is over on that side, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to just share some memories of earlier times when I was growing up, and the big house stood in the huge field. There were no other houses around, and it was just beautiful. And we used to keep our cows there to graze. And I would, 6 o'clock in the morning to round them up to bring home to milk. And it was the most beautiful sight. Just the view from there and the whole landscape was so gorgeous before any houses were built. But I also remember Jean really well when she used to be in her kitchen house cleaning eggs hour after hour. And as kids, when we were little, we used to stop and visit her. She was always so nice to us.
Aw. Nice.
Yeah, we spent hours in the fields in front of the house because it was tall grass.
Yes.
So we were always building forts, sneaking around, and we weren't allowed to go onto the beach until Mom and Irene came down with us. And it was always after lunch we had to wait.
Not one blackberry, if those of you know the property.
Really? Yeah.
Not one blackberry
In the
anywhere.
whole field.
Anywhere. This picture is a really old picture. I think it was from the 40s, but somebody was standing on the top of the Port Couture looking down at the fishing boats. And so that's, when you talk about being nothing, there's nothing there. The only building you see right here is the big White House, which is South Beach House, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And then the little lights that you see are fishing boats.
Oh,
Wow.
that's neat.
That used to add to the beauty of the scene early in the morning to have all the fishing.
Yeah, it's really spectacular.
There was a dock out of South Beach House, and
Yeah.
boats could anchor and come in. Part of South Beach House on the left corner, it's hard to see now, but there's 3 round windows.
Yes.
That was the store. And the restaurant didn't exist. I mean, that building didn't exist. So it was just the White House, and that was the store. And then you guys live in, wasn't that a fisherman's place, a bunkhouse kind of thing?
From what we've heard, our house used to be on that side, and then we're at 699 South Beach Road, we're on the corner across from the field. And that house apparently got moved over to where it is today, so I don't know. But when we bought it, it was a duplex, so.
Are you talking about
Right across the street from us.
the one down from the White House across from us?
For me,
Right across from Barb's.
right across from me now.
Oh,
It faces the
yeah.
beach, and it was next to the nice house behind it that the guy always landscaped.
If you're talking about that white block house, Staney Thorsonson built that. They lived in that cannery place for a lot of years.
Actually, right now, this year I noticed you can see the tops of the posts from the piers down at South Beach. Some years you don't see it, but right now, if you go down in front of South Beach store, there's 2 ends of piers that are sticking up out of the sand.
Didn't last very long.
Low tide.
Longer than our new one?
Yeah. Much longer than the new one. Yeah.
Well, people like to come and look at the pictures and the documents.